Hello everyone, welcome back to Weaving Web 3. We are now at ETHCC again, and we're talking to Stephen Hilton from Space and Time. So, what is space and time and why is it the best? And changing the space.
Absolutely. Hey, appreciate the time here. Space-Time is a decentralized data warehouse and ZK Coprocessor. And there's a little bit to that, so maybe I'll unpack it.
Yeah, so what's the first part?
So decentralized data warehouse. Data warehouse is like a database, but bigger, right? It's got hundreds of terabytes in it. So if you're familiar in the space, think of like maybe a Google BigQuery or Snowflake, but decentralized, so owned and operated by the community.
Okay.
The second part of that is a ZK Coprocessor, which just means that we can have tamper-proof tables where essentially you can say, I want my query result, but I also want a ZK proof with that query result, which means you can take it to a verifier and verify that the query running on the data it ran on, neither one has been tampered with. So we're verifying both compute and storage.
And that's really important to prevent like any kind of people cheating the system and like malicious people, right?
Right, because space and time, one of the main targets here are for smart contracts. So imagine you have a smart contract and you want to do like an options trade in your smart contract, and you want to be able to take any arbitrary token pair for any arbitrary length of time and calculate maybe a risk of that liquidation.
Yeah.
To do that requires history, which is like hundreds of gigabytes in size, never going to fit into a smart contract. But
For sure.
you can run that query from your smart contract, actually hit our relayer, which goes to our network, runs the query, gives you back the result, that probability, along with a proof that you can take to a verifier network and verify that it's not been tampered with. So we're able to preserve the trust model of a blockchain, but in a big data system.
And is this something that's really hard to do right now, or is there other people that's doing it that's not very like accessible to like everyday users? For example, I tried to, let's say, make a June dashboard. It's horrendous, right? And we saw like an example with you showing us your integration with AI models that I can, let's say, have queries within seconds and actually using human language, which is something that as a user, people that want to know, let's say, more in depth and get more knowledge, is something that was not possible. And it's like, wow, this is something important, right?
Right, yeah, what you're talking about is we also have AI integration. So it's a database, you can write SQL, that's the structured query language, but you can also just ask it a question in the language of your choice. In fact, I've actually looked I was about to say English because that's my first language, but the reality is I've looked at the logs and like people can write it in Chinese, they can write it in French, they can write it in whatever language they're comfortable with because the LLM understands that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as long as you understand the concepts of blockchain, you can say, show me the top NFT transactions on ZK Sync, and the LLM knows how to. Yeah, we've trained the LLM on how to go in and get that. You asked the question like, how difficult is it to do it today? I mean, the short answer is to extend a smart contract into a big data system does not exist today. The only way you could do that use case I said a minute ago about going in and doing an options trade would be to pre-calculate all of the different options you want to support. So I want to support this token pair for this length of time. Okay. Compute that, put it on chain. Yeah. And then compute the next one and put it on chain. Compute the next one, put it on chain. And then every so often you have to refresh that because it's going to change over time. So maybe a couple times a day you have to go through and recompute everything and put it on chain. And if it's never used, that's all waste. Yeah. Whereas space and time, you would just run that in real time. And so you don't have to put all of these arbitrary data points that may not be used on chain. You just do it at runtime. So that's, I mean, there's a lot of other use cases we open up as well.
But does this just, and now my gears are working together. I'm like, hang on, so there's so many more applications that you can push this forward. So what would you like to see to be done with space-time in the future? Like in 6 months, what integrations and how would you like people to be using space-time in like their everyday or in the crypto natives and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's really kind of two different, we'll say, areas that we really work towards. One is more transactional, which is, like I was saying, like extending a smart contract into a big data system. Like being able to say, hey, my smart contract can now query terabytes of space. Otherwise, the other side of that is analytic, and that's more like the Dune style approach, where you have some analytic that you want to, go run, And again, that's where the AI comes into play, where you don't really need to be a developer or a data analyst to go do this. As long as you understand the concept, you can just go say, hey, show me my wallet content, show me the history of this NFT, right? And it's smart enough to go do that. And by the way, it will not only take the take the AI prompt, turn it into SQL for you. It will actually generate usually between 6 and 12 different graphics that go along with that. So it'll take its best guess based on the data returned to generate that chart. And then it's very easy to say, save the chart and then make it into a new dashboard and start building dashboards. And so if you go out to spacetime.io and you can go look at our DApp, you can go look at all the dashboards that are community built and know that most of those were built using AI.
Yeah. So how easy would it be for someone coming on to, how quick would it take me to create a dashboard of, let's say I want to see a certain amount of wallets or a certain token being traded over a certain amount of time?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, if you know what the structure is, you don't even have to really understand the SQL. If you understand the idea of a blockchain and what you're going after, it's really very easy because you just have to ask it. And it's generative AI. It gets it right 80 to 90% of the time. Yeah. You just want to make sure that you double check it because that 10% of the time, But the nice thing is we work closely with Microsoft. They give us early access into OpenAI. By the way, we work with a lot of different LLMs. So if OpenAI is not your jam, then we can go elsewhere. But by default, we use OpenAI. And they give us early access into GPT-5 coming out.
Oh wow, that's
so we can start. Yeah, so GPT-5 will have a lot of good enhancements that will make that 10% even smaller. So we're excited about that.
Could you have automation, in the future, let's say you have automated notification, I want to know when these wallets or whales are moving around or certain prices. Okay.
Yeah, in fact we have, because remember we're a data warehouse, so we have things like materialized views. So you say, here's here's a piece of logic, here's all the whales, and I want it materialized. It's called materialized view, but you materialize it so it's cached, and then the system will automatically refresh that cache on a reoccurring basis. Okay. So say once a day, go back and refresh this data so that I always capture the new whales coming in. So yeah, that's all ready to go today. And it's actually built into the interface to be a checkbox. So when you say, here's my query, you say save it, it will say, do you want to make this a materialized view? It will increase performance. And you say yes, right? So it's literally a check of a box.
So big things coming for you in the future,
It's already,
right?
That's already here today.
That's already here today.
Yeah. What we're working on in the future is, so today you can use AI to generate your queries, to generate your graphs, but you still have to put everything together on a dashboard. Mm-hmm. Now that's not hard. But today you have to do it. What we want to get to is a point where we can say, build me a dashboard, hey, space and time, build me a dashboard for liquidity changes in Aave and Compound for a rolling 6 months, and show it to me in a bunch of different ways, right? And it will not just generate the SQL, it'll generate many SQL statements, generate many graphs, put them all on a dashboard for you. And and then you're starting from that point and well, okay, cool. I want to move this around, but that's all drag and drop. I mean, now you're talking about doing it in 10 minutes.
Damn. So something that would usually take a few hours, a lot of time and effort, you can have it in a matter of minutes. Yeah,
and even that, even today, it's I wouldn't say it's maybe it's a couple hours to put together a pretty mature dashboard. But yeah, getting that down to 10 minutes, is the goal.
Wow. So, to kind of round up, if someone wanted to get into Spacetime or using, what would you like to see developers and users with Spacetime?
Yeah, I'd love to see dashboard, a lot of dashboards. Like you mentioned, Dune does this as well. Yeah. I think ours is sexier. Sorry.
Yeah, it does look like it for sure. I must agree.
So I think we do partner with protocols like ZK Sync and Aptos and others. We partner with customers, with other partners as well, to do dashboard contests. And so from the community perspective, that's a great way to go get involved because they actually have rewards. ZK Sync will come and say, hey, we want to have this many tokens as a reward for the top 5 dashboards that get created on Space and Time using ZK Sync data that we already index. Yeah. Right? And so I see a lot of those kind of things being really successful, and I want to keep doing those in the future. On the more transactional side, like the use, getting expanded use cases into smart contracts, right? So we have some DeFi today. We have one customer, Instruxy, who has built, if you're familiar with NFTs, and there's dynamic NFTs.
Yes, for sure.
They built a virtual NFT.
Okay.
And the difference here is, if a dynamic NFT, you can change the back-end metadata, but you do have to update the on-chain asset as well. A virtual NFT basically has all that metadata stored in a immutable table in space and time. And so instead of pointing to IPFS, they just point to space and time. And what that means is that you can do things like automatically update NFTs very quickly. Like in real time. So imagine you have a Web3 game where the in-game asset, like a sword, is an NFT. And as you're running around murdering your friends, right, and you're swinging your sword, you're accumulating kills and experience points and different characteristics. The game telemetry can write to space and time. Again, it's a data warehouse. It's designed to absorb that kind of streaming data, even off-chain data, right? Like we load on-chain data, off-chain data is no different. And you can even do that in a tamper-proof way. And so you can imagine you have this tamper-proof table that extends the permission or the trust model of the blockchain, and now your NFTs can just go read the most recent data. Or to say, hey, this sword has a list of every single person it's ever killed in game. And like, you're a big Mr. Beast fan, and you're like, look, this sword has killed Mr. Beast 3 times.
And then you can just sell it for like a big oh, that's a really cool idea. That's a really good concept.
I think people would be like, that's a Mr. Beast killer, I'm buying that.
Yeah, just to show off.
Nothing against Mr. Beast, we all love Mr. Beast, but you know.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for this amazing, interesting conversation about space and time. And this was Weaving Web 3 at ETHCC. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Bam.